Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear us? Can someone just raise their hand or just let us know that you can hear us okay? Perfect. Great. So I thought it'd be fun to do this with Santi, because then it's not as boring as me just like sitting in front of the camera and giving you guys tips. So I'm so happy you're here at the webinar. This means a lot to us because you know that we focus on non-toxic design and also cruelty-free design, meaning nothing that I do is animal-based. Santi does animal-based, but we're getting there with him, right?
I'm learning, I'm getting,
The
I'm
guilt.
coming along.
It's starting to work. So this really, the tips that I'm going to give you and that Santi's going to throw in his 2 cents about as well are really for everyone. It's for people that just want to have a much healthier, optimal environment in their spaces, you know, getting rid of the chemicals, getting rid of the tragedy and despair, the negativity. And also for anyone who suffers from depression or anxiety, or for parents, or for if you have children, for their bedrooms, newborns, if you have any developmental issues or neurological issues, autism, ADHD, sensory processing issues. So it's, you know, creating a healthy, clean space is just as important as eating healthy, clean food. You know, we focus on our food all the time, but then we neglect our spaces. So, you know, I can be at a vegan restaurant eating a really healthy, beautiful salad, but yet I'm sitting on leather chairs in the restaurant. And leather, for example, contains over 250 chemicals, such as arsenic and lead and chromium. So I thought, let's get started right away. What do you say?
Okay, let's start.
Let's start. Fun. So I'm going to give you some clear-cut takeaways, and I have my little list here. Okay, and if you have any questions, guys, just throw them up on here on the chat, okay? And I'll get to them. So tip number 1 is, if you want to create cleaner, less chemicals and have less chemicals in your home, start small. You know, people get overwhelmed, right?
I think it's going to be like baby steps, so you don't get overwhelmed. And I think you're going to bring a great area. Right.
So I always say the bedroom. If you have to pick an area and you say, you know what, I want to find one space in my house. I want to start with one space, because again, if you say, I'm going to make my entire house chemical free or have less chemicals, you'll never get to it. Or the chances are it'll take you a very long time, because it's an education.
It's a learning experience to go step by step.
Exactly. So we always say a bedroom, if you want, is a great place to start, because it's where we spend a third of our life, most of us.
And that's where we rest and our bodies get recovered from the daily work and all that.
Right.
So it's a perfect place to start.
Right. And when you sleep, your body's repairing itself and your body gets warmer. So whatever you wrap yourself in, your body's absorbing, because our skin is porous like a sponge. So whatever you do, whether or not it's a bedroom or anything, just start small, baby steps, and eventually you'll get into a rhythm. Learn to read labels. Become a detective. Okay, there are over, as I said, 250 chemicals in leather. There's a lot of greenwashing out there. Greenwashing is, so for example, when years ago there was the Exxon oil spill, and it was terrible. But then they were promoting how they were saving all the birds and cleaning them with the oil that they had spilled. That's a perfect example of greenwashing. A label that says responsible wool or responsible leather, that's greenwashing. There is no such thing as responsible wool or leather. Do not believe it for a second. And leather, besides it being a completely irresponsible industry and a tragic industry for animals and workers, same with wool, contains tons of chemicals. Wool contains tons of pesticides. There's no such thing as, you can have an organic wool, but it's still going to be treated in chemicals because it's wool and it has bugs. So you have to become your own detective, okay? What you clean your furniture with is just as important as the furniture and materials that you buy. So if you're buying this beautiful, completely organic, clean, non-toxic fabric, and yet you're putting Scotchgard on it, you're really kind of...
What type of chemicals are you cleaning it with? I mean, it's just like an example of what we're talking about, like the salad, you go for a healthy salad and then you drop,
heavy dressing
on it to destroy the whole purpose.
Right, or you eat a piece of cake for dessert after eating, you know, after a salad.
You'll destroy what you're doing.
So I loved cleaning products. I want to give you a couple names of things that I like. I love Dr. Bronner's. I buy it on Amazon. My kids use it. By the way, all the recommendations that I'm giving you are things that I use in my own home, not only for clients. And these are things that we've tested and tried, and we really believe in them. Dr. Bronner's is a great label. First of all, it's a completely ethical company. They're a fantastic family that runs it. We actually have Lisa Bronner on our kids course. We have a nursery design course, and she's on it, and she talks about what to look for and avoid in cleaning products. So that's one of our favorite labels. And in the chat, I have actually the link on the Amazon link if you want to buy Dr. Bronner's. I use it. I use all of their products. They're just terrific. So remember, make sure that what you clean your furniture with, you really are thoughtful about that. And just try to, of course, we all know to avoid chemicals. And I say it's kind of like food. If you can't pronounce the chemical or read it in the ingredients, chances are it's really toxic, because you have things like here, you have things like PFAS, formaldehyde, chromium, phthalates. I mean, and those are just a few of the
They
small
sound
ones.
so scary.
Exactly. They are scary, and you don't want your babies being wrapped up in that, or yourself being wrapped up in those things. So if you can't pronounce it, or if it's really hard to spell, very good chance.
Get away with
Yeah,
it. Get
run,
away. Yeah,
run.
get away.
But if you go to my YouTube channel, I have a whole thing on chemicals to avoid, and there's a lot more detail. I'm giving you very, very brief descriptions of things, but if you go to our site and you go to listen to some of the videos or the blog posts, things are in a lot more detail, okay? Okay, what about, going non-animal based, of course, as most of you know, I don't use anything animal based in any of my designs, and I do that. I did it initially. Is there a non-toxic vegan equivalent for Scotchgard? Vanessa, yes, it's actually, hi Vanessa, it's actually in the chat box, you'll see it. But if after you want to you can always DM us at Deborah Demare and we can send it to you, but the link is there. If you go to my Amazon shop, you'll see it's right there, and it's excellent. It's an amazing product, and it's called nano something, and it's nanotechnology, no chemicals at all. Okay, so back to non-animal based spaces. You don't see any of the links in the chat box. Uh-oh, I screwed it up. Hold on one second, guys. I have it in the Q&A. Do you see the Q&A? No, it's in the chat. You don't see it in the chat? Okay, I'll send it to you guys after, because I have all of your emails. If I don't have your email address, please make sure you send it to me, okay? That way we'll send you everything after. So going back to non-animal based materials, I originally became a vegan designer just because of my love of animals. I just love animals so very much. But I quickly learned that it was not only about ethics, about animals and laborers, it was also about chemicals and health. So really, you cannot have a space that contains fur or down or leather or silk. or wool that is going to be clean and healthy. It's just virtually impossible. And I kind of describe it like, think about leather. It was a skin on an animal, and now that they have taken that skin off, and now it's just a skin. So how do you keep that skin preserved? You have to load it with chemicals, kind of like when we have a scab, right? You pull the scab off, it's ugly and rotten looking. So that's what would happen to a cow hide or any other, or seal hide or raccoon dog or leather, dog leather, which exists from China. So leather can be made of dogs or cats or raccoon dogs. So none of it is good for ethically or for your health. So try to really stay away from non-animal based materials. Just going to keep checking the chats, the chat box, guys, because this is a little new for me. Okay, great. Okay. Paint.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Right? Everyone loves,
VOCs.
yeah, VOCs. VOCs are called volatile organic compounds. And toxic, and they're compounds that off gas, meaning that, when you paint a room, and like years ago when I was young, they would say, don't go in the room for a couple of days because it smells like paint. Well, even when the paint smell dissipates, the gases are still there, and that's called off gassing. It's coming off the wall, and that really never goes away, or it takes a super long time to go away. very, very, very dangerous. We're inhaling those gases. I mean, there are more and more developmental and neurological issues in this country than ever before. And it's because we're using so many chemicals. I mean, if you think about it, an indoor space in a home is more toxic than the dirtiest streets in New York City. And that's a fact. And we're spending more and more time
Scary.
indoors. Yeah, years ago, we were farmers and people were outside more. Now we're inside more. Look at remote work. We're all now in our homes. Before we were in offices. Same thing in indoor spaces. So really think about your paints. You want to look for paints that have low or non-VOCs. Now, here's
You have a favorite brand, right? I mean,
oh, yes, Faro and Ball. I love Faro and Ball. It's pricier, but it's great.
It's great. And Benjamin Moore has also.
Benjamin Moore has EcoSpec, which we actually used in
our project.
Yeah, in our projects. It's a great paint as well. Also, it is again a little pricier, but you know what? It goes on easier. So if you're doing it yourself or you're paying someone, it goes on easier. So it's less labor intensive, which, you know, perhaps
Levers.
leverages the cost a bit. But you know what I say
But
too?
it's just a couple of bucks. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
worth, I mean, it's worth paying it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not something astronomical, so.
No, it's not astronomical. And the way I look at it also is if you have a healthier environment, you know, you're preventing sickness, hopefully. So you're going to the doctor less, so you're not spending as much money.
Less medicine and less headaches and less allergies and less,
Right.
it's just well-being.
Mhm. So the order of paints is that ideally you want to look for, if you're not going to go with like a Faro and Ball, which I think it's latex, I forget, but you want to go for latex, acrylic, lime, and clay. What happens if you paint a non-VOC over previous paint? There is, good question, because I have that on my notes too. Go to Amazon to my shop, AFM Safe Coat. It's a primer. You can, let's say you're renting a space that already has paint on it. You can prime the walls with that primer. Yes, it seals it, and then you can put your paint on top of it. Okay, you don't want to scrape toxic paint off a wall because that also ignites the gases again. So some people think that they're okay, I'm going to scrape the walls and then put on a clean paint. Don't do that. Get something like the AFM Safe Coat. It's a really good product. AFM is a great, great company. We use them as well for also for caulking. They have all different kinds of products. They even have plant-based stains, non-toxic stains for woods. So it's a product that I really like a lot. And again, all these things are on Amazon, which makes it so easy. What were we just saying about paint before? Oh, lime and clay. So you have acrylic, latex, lime, and clay. Now, lime paints, which I can't believe you didn't know much about it.
We're just talking
Yeah.
about it. I have no idea about this.
Because Santi is one of the most well-traveled people I have ever met in my life. And he has been all over the world and a million times to Europe. And in Europe, most of the
Used,
walls are
yeah.
lime. They're painted with lime paint, which is very old and antiqued, and it's a beautiful translucent look. And now it's becoming popular in the States just because of the trend.
I'm just going to research it just
Yeah.
right now. I'm just going to go and research it because it's amazing that I don't know it. And also working in Europe as a designer, I mean, I got to check it out.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful look. And now you see on YouTube, there's all these young couples doing these DIY videos on painting a lime paint wall. They sell kits, completely non-toxic, completely. And it's a beautiful look. It's a look. Now, to me, it can be a modern or an antique look, a vintage look. It's an old look, but how cool would that look against a very modern?
Gorgeous.
You
I
know,
love those
the
combinations.
space, yeah.
I mean, it gives character and personality.
Right.
Ambience.
And it's a process. I think it takes a little bit of work to learn how to do it, but it's fun. You know, it's a nice project. Okay, staying away we're good. Staying away from wool rugs. Okay, again, go non-toxic, organic. If you want to get a rug, I mean, the best rug you can get would be a organic cotton GOTS certified rug, meaning organic cotton, okay, no chemicals. And I don't have in the chat because I guess the chat wasn't working, but two sisters at Eco Textiles. Their Patty Grossman is the owner, and she and her sister run this great fabric company out in the West Coast. I think Patty's in Seattle or Oregon. She is our guru when it comes to fabric. She knows everything about non-toxic fabric. So she's a really great person to get in touch with. But GOTS certification, what is that? That stands for Global Organic Textile Standard. So it is like the best certification you can ever find on a piece of furniture or material. It's not on everything because it's a very strict certification. The fabrics and furniture have very few chemicals. They are fair trade, meaning that the workers and laborers from where these things are being made are treated very fairly and they're getting above the normal wage. It is just a great certification to look for. It's the first thing we always search for. When we're looking for something, we say, let's see what we can first find that's got certified. If we can't, the second label we look for is something called, what do I think about jute rugs? Jute rugs are great. Be careful, not all of them are non-toxic, but they are excellent because it's a natural fiber. Now, the negative thing about jute rugs are that they're not comfortable, right? They're like straw and they're not durable, which is okay, as long as you know that. And most of them are inexpensive. So, you know, I say with those kinds of things,
You should, every so often you change it. I mean, it's not inexpensive, but it is kind of hard to your touch and your feet and whatever. It's kind of like rustic also. So it's not for every ambience or every interior design project, but it's a great source.
yeah, I mean, it's not something I wouldn't want to sit on the floor in a jute rug. And also if you spill something on it, it just absorbs it. So just, I mean, we're giving you a lot of negative things about a jute rug, but you know, but they're really pretty. And again, just check for chemicals because a lot of them do not contain any chemicals. And now they even have like jute and sisal, which is a similar feel cotton mixes.
That's a nice combination because it gives a better sense, a better texture.
Yeah, it's a little softer, but you still have it in there. So as far as durability, but that's when you can use your nano spray on the rug and protect it because you can. Why not? It's a fabric, so you can use that. So go for the jute rug if you don't mind the discomfort of it. So okay, ideally, okay. Now, so the perfect rug again would be like an organic cotton rug that's got certified. And if you're telling me, you know what, I don't want to spray it with that stuff and you know, I need something more durable, then I would say go with nylon. Even though I hate saying that, we use a lot of nylon rugs for projects, even though they are filled with petrochemicals. So they're not so healthy, but they're more durable than an organic cotton. And it's like I always say, you want to do the best you can do. You don't want to have a
least damage to to your health and to the environment.
Right, right. And you want to be able to live in your home and not be like, oh my God, this is so delicate. You know, it depends on your lifestyle too. You know, it's because if you want to make a commitment to everything being as low in chemicals as possible, that's awesome. But just understand that the things might not be as durable in the long run, which is okay. I mean, that's how we are in our own personal home, but that's the decision that I've made for my family. But that's a decision to make. So if you feel like for a rug, you're like, oh my God, we have 5 dogs, this and that, then I would say go for the nylon rug, but make sure that your sofa has a clean fabric on it. You know, do the best you can do. You know, it's kind of a bit of a juggle.
Choose.
Yeah.
You gotta choose.
Yeah, choose wisely.
Yeah.
Down.
Cool. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And I use them. And she is trying to convince me not to do it, and I'm about to accept it.
I am going to show Santi one video when we're done with this webinar on a down factory. And I promise you, the next webinar, he will be telling me he's no longer.
I'm converted.
It is a horrific industry, as all animal-based industries are. You cannot use an animal in mass quantity and have it treated ethically. It's a life of pain and tragedy. And the same for the workers. It's not only for non-humans, it's for humans as well. So, and also feathers and down, loaded with chemicals. Again, anything animal-based is loaded with chemicals. And with down and feathers, a lot of people have allergic reactions to it. And they're very allergic and they get issues. There's a really weird bacteria that you develop called feather duvet lung. It's a really strange name, but it's where the insides of your lungs get scar tissue from an allergic reaction to the feathers and the down. So, and also the down comes through the pillows. It's prickly. It's got little bugs in it because it's feathering down, and again, loaded with pesticides. So there's some great alternatives. There's buckwheat pillows, which are really great. There's kapok pillows. There's lots of alternatives. On our Amazon shop, I have an Amazon shop, a cruelty and chemical-free Amazon shop, and I have all these products on there. So again, give us your email address. If we don't have it, you can DM me at Deborah Demare, and we'll send out everything to you after, because I screwed up with the chat. Sorry.
Mattresses.
Mattresses. Okay.
That's a great topic that you love.
What kind of mattress do you have?
I don't want to tell you.
No, you see, how do I love this man?
I'm trying to be converted, so I'm gonna be a good boy. Tell me.
I tell you, I
Tell
don't
me.
know what to do. Thank God I love him. Okay, mattresses. A couple things with mattresses. I'm very upset right now. Let's not take go. Companies, I am a Naturepedic groupie. I love the company for everything it stands for, their ethics and their product. They make a vegan mattress that's fantastic. Their mattresses are GOTS certified. You must get a GOTS certified mattress because you are sleeping on it. Your face is on it.
Smelling it.
You're smelling it. You're
Touching it.
smothered in it. You remember your body's warm at night. You're wrapping yourself in it. For babies and infants, you must get a GOTS certified mattress. You can get an organic latex mattress for yourself if you choose. Must be organic. If not, it's petrochemicals. You're sleeping in those petrochemicals. For babies, never get a latex mattress, even if it's organic, and they're legal to sell, which is sick. Babies, when a baby is born, you don't know if it's allergic to latex. You don't know whether that child is allergic, like balloons. And an infant can have an allergic reaction to a latex mattress, and there have been fatalities with that issue. So please do not get even an organic latex mattress, crib mattress for your baby. For an adult, it's fine, because you know if you're allergic or not. Make sure the mattress does not contain wool, and sometimes there's little leather piping on the mattress. So get a mattress that's as clean as possible. Again, I love Naturepedic. All of my beds are Naturepedics because they just check off everything on the list for me. And what else we have?
Sheets.
Oh, okay, one more thing, and then we're almost 20 minutes. We're after 20 minutes, actually.
The sheets.
Sheets. With sheets, same thing. GOTS certified, Global Organic Textile Standard.
Cuts.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you. You know what? Do me a favor. If you can DM me in Instagram with your email address, I'm gonna send you everything after about the leather down options, the feather down options, okay? Sheets. You can buy a sheet that says, you're welcome. You can buy a sheet that says organic cotton.
But
But
it's
guess
printed.
It's printed. And
With what? What type of things?
chemicals. So it's kind of like buying an organic apple, I always say. An apple can be organic, but if they put red dye on it, is it still organic? Same thing with sheets. You must make sure that the dye is also natural. It is a natural dye. You do not want, especially for babies, all those cute sheets that say they're organic and they have painted dinosaurs on them. And if they're very inexpensive, chances are those painted characters are completely toxic. So again, you really have to be your own detective. And lastly is wallpaper. Same thing. You want to get most wallpaper. I shouldn't say it. A lot of wallpapers now are PVC free, which is wonderful. So you want to find that, and you want some wallpapers still have leather tiles, which I saw at the office the other day, leather tiles and wool. So you want to get wallpapers that are PVC free. And I just wanted to do one other thing. I wanted, because Santi's been sitting here.
How do you trust the labels? I mean, I read labels, but I mean, are they true or not true? I mean, how do you believe that a label is true?
You follow us and you educate yourself, because
Because-
education is power.
Okay.
And this is all we talk about. And if you follow us, and if you need help, of course, we do virtual design, we do regular design projects, but education, you must educate yourself. Because
Right.
remember that the salesperson, that's a good question, because you can go into a store and most of the time the salesperson doesn't even know, they're just there to sell the furniture and they don't really go that extra layer. So you really have to educate yourself. I just wanted to just finish up with just giving a design tip or two. So Santi, like when you start a project, Like, how would you tell someone, okay, you're gonna do your bedroom? How how would you start to design? How do you start the process?
First, you gotta learn who's gonna be sleeping, who's my client, or who's gonna be on. Is it a couple, young, none, if they have health issues,
Mhm.
what type of problems do they have?
Mhm.
So what type of, is the mattress gonna be firm or not firm?
Mhm.
I also talk about lighting, I talk about
So no,
filtration of
so
air.
tell someone here, like, okay, Vanessa's on here.
Yeah,
Vanessa's gonna do her son's room, Duke's room, and she's like, Sanji, I wanna do it myself. I don't know how to start. How do I start? What is some
Right.
tips that you can give me to start?
one, educate yourself, as you said, read all the labels and try to get as natural products as you can. I mean,
Okay. What about like things like a mood tray and stuff like just starting with the decoration and stuff?
aesthetically,
Yeah,
oh, that's a big chapter. I mean, what do I do for a kid's room? I mean, what's the temperament of the kid? Is it I mean, is it a very hyper kid that I need to keep calm? So I
Yeah.
would choose colors that will keep them calm. Or is it someone that is kind of like a little bit slow, whatever, and I'm gonna get that kid to be a little bit more happy. So it depends on the temperament. I mean, design is for in a specific user or in a specific temperament or a specific character. So I would try to see who that room is going to be for. What type of temperament and what type of issues do they have? What type of health issues do they have to address them?
because that's also a good point, because it's like I always say, you've seen these magazines, they show, for example, these gorgeous nurseries. Well, those nurseries took like 4 days to set up the shoot, and they're not realistic. You see drapes over the crib, you see a hanging chandelier in the crib, things that are like so crazy but look beautiful. But I think it's about, you don't want to put a square peg in a round hole. Vanessa just said Duke is very energetic and inquisitive. So then you want to build a room around his energy. And do you want that space for him to be a place where he can let go of his energy or where he can calm himself? Or do you want it to be both? Because depending on the size of your home.
And if he has another area for a playroom or something, and this is just for rest and sleeping, so you have to address it that way. So when to keep him calm, use blues and greens and colors that keep him down. Dim the light at night, so you work with dimmers and things so you can have the light and bring his energy down.
Right. And I think also as far as aesthetics, one thing I always, well, there's many things, I have a lot of opinions, but measuring. It's a lot of people have a very hard time measuring spaces and deciding on the size of the furniture. And I always say that if you're not sure and you're between an 8-foot sofa or a 7-foot sofa and you're like going back and forth, I say get the 7-foot sofa, because
Safer.
it's safer and you can always fill the space with something else. I think that's really, really important. And I think you have to learn how to measure. It's a very simple thing to do. We even in the nursery course, we even have a module just on how to measure a space, and it's simple. And I think you also have to think about light. Is it a dark room? Is it a light room? How do you decorate a room for a boy who has sensory issues and ADHD? Natasha, I need to understand more about your son. How old is he? And is he ADHD hypo or hyper? Does he have more energy or is he hyposensitive? And see, there's a million questions. Is it for his bedroom? Do you want him to have a calming space? How old is he? Do you have to worry about safety with him? Then I would say keep a bed very low to the ground, very, very low. So if he falls, it's not a problem. I would make sure that the floors are easy to clean up if he makes a lot of mess. I would make sure that the lighting is safe, that it's dim lighting, that it's probably flush mount. I would give him switches that he can turn on and off, because he then has control, and having control can help balance him and anchor him and give him a feeling of security. There's a million different ways to design spaces for anyone with any kind of sensory issue, but I kind of have to have a little bit more detail. You can also reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to give you some tips. I think we're out of time, guys.
Yes.
I hope you like this webinar with Santi Man. I'll let him talk more next
Getting
time.
converted, I think, is the next step. And I think I'm gonna get a course now on down. I think I just gotta have a sit here and learn about the down industry to avoid it and become a vegan designer. I'm so proud of Deborah, her work, her ethics, and
I paid him for this, by the way.
her creativity and her love for the work she does.
Thank you guys so much. Make sure if you have any, thank you. If you have any questions, just, I think just DM us on Instagram. That would be probably the best thing. And I'll send out an email with all the links. Thank you.
All right, guys.